Welcome to The Real with Joseph Labman. I am Joseph Labman. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Real, taking time out of your day to come watch this episode. I really appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe for me. I'd really appreciate that as well. That's the best way you can support this channel and help me grow my content and grow this channel to where I'd like it to be. Everybody hit the like button for me on the way in on this video today. That also helps promote this video more in the algorithms, helps grow this channel more as well. Please share this content. I would really appreciate that. My guests would as well. If you would please share this episode with someone you know that maybe is interested in the topic we're talking about today. Please leave a comment below as well. We'd love to hear your guys' feedback. You can interact with myself and the guest on the panel and the live chat as well. Whatever we're talking about, just leave a comment there in the live chat. Pop in and say hello. We'll put it on the screen for you. And yeah, without further ado, let's get to the show. Welcome back to The Real with Joseph Lappin. I am Joseph Lappin. Hope you guys having a great Tuesday afternoon. I almost said Wednesday, excuse me. Forgot what day it was for a second. Hope you guys having a great Tuesday afternoon. Welcome into The Real. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, and share, like I said. And yeah, welcome on in. So I got a special guest joining me tonight. My man Humble's in the chat. Or not in the chat, he's usually in the chat. Wow, hold on one second. I'm actually looking at the chat. Hello from Indonesia. Wow. Thank you so much. You kind of threw me off there. I'm not going to lie. Indonesia's in the house. Where's my button at? Where are we at? Here we go. But thank you so much. Rated R Fanule. I believe I said that right. $40.99. Tuning in from Indonesia. I really appreciate that, my friend, and thank you so much. We got viewers worldwide now over here at The Real, so that's pretty cool. A couple weeks ago, we had somebody from Africa. Now we got somebody from Indonesia. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I got my man Humble's going to join the show here momentarily. Usually he's holding down the chat, but I just figured let's bring him up here on the panel tonight and talk some Cavs basketball. We're also going to talk some real life stuff too. You know, it's been a while since, if you guys have followed my channel, I used to be real heavy into what I went through about my experience of overcoming anxiety and agoraphobia and panic. And I dedicated my whole show to doing that. And you can probably tell in the last few years, a little over 2 years, I started to slowly transition more into heavier sports and basically full-time sports and, taking kind of a break from that. And I'm going to share some stuff, maybe an update where I've been recently. And Humble and I are going to talk some real life stuff centered around that as well. So looking forward to that. But we're going to start with the Cavs here first. Jalen Tyson recently was talking to Chris Fedor at Cleveland.com. And Jalen Tyson made some interesting comments. And so did an anonymous player as well. The Cavs tonight played the Pistons. And they played the Pistons last Friday night. And they lost. With a lot of their top guys out, Harden was out, Mitchell was out. I believe somebody else was still. Mike Strus is still out, and so it was Dennis Schroeder, Jalen Tyson, and Evan Mobley in the crew, and Jared Allen. And it was a close game. It was actually a really good game. I got to watch some of it when I got home from another game I was at, and it went down to the wire in the fourth quarter. I thought the Cavs should have won it. Jalen Tyson got he got called for a foul, which gave the Pistons a chance to tie the game with free throws, and they made them all three, forced the game in the overtime. I thought there was a foul call at the end of there on the guy. I believe it was Sam Merrill shot the ball. I thought he got fouled from three. They didn't call it. So there were some interesting calls at the end of that game, but Detroit got the win. I feel like the Cavs kind of gave it away, though, and I feel like the refs didn't help out either. But neither here nor there. So, the Pistons, obviously the top team in the East right now. They've been that all year. They've been a very dominant, consistent team led by J.B. Bickerstaff. And, Kay Cunningham, I think, is an excellent player. They got some really defensively. They got some dogs over there, some athletes. They got versatility. They can shoot. They're a really good team, top to bottom. They got depth. And so, Detroit's obviously been the head of the class all year. But, in the Cavs, after they played them the other night, and they play them again tonight at home in Cleveland at 7 o'clock, the Cavs, like it says right here, they weren't whispering about it either, that they feel like they're the top team in the East. Jalen Tyson wasn't whispering about it either. The young forward said exactly what he felt with Fedor reporting that the sentiment was deeper than just one player. Quote, Jalen Tyson said that the Cavs are the number one team in the Eastern Conference, even though the standings don't reflect that. Another player said to me privately that they are not in our class, end quote. Bold, without question, but it is as outrageous as it sounds at first. And that was written by Cleveland.com. So shout out to them. But so Jalen Tyson said the Cavs are the number one team in the East, no doubt about it. The record don't it doesn't matter where we are in the standings. And then another player says that Detroit is they're not even in our class, is what they said. Shots fired. That's why I have that in my thumbnail. The Cavs are making it known that they are now they feel like they're the best team, but I guess the most brash and confident team in the Eastern Conference. Now, I'm gonna get to more of this here in a minute with Humble. Well, him and I will go back and forth, but I just find it's very fascinating that they would come out and say that so boldly. I mean, you got a team in Detroit who's a very physical team. Chippy has they're number one team in the Eastern Conference, but they kind of been the underdogs all year too in a way. And they're coming out right out the bat. The Cavs are, after they play them, just right before the season, or right before not before the season, right before the postseason rather, and just say, "Nah, we're better than them. We're the top team in the East, no doubt about it, and they're not in our class." A pretty bold statement. I'm really curious who said that. Maybe Jalen Tyson said it. Jalen Tyson, I like the kid a lot. He's had a great year, but he's also said some pretty brash things all year. He told LeBron on national TV that night that it's Donovan City now, and that whole thing. Jalen Tyson's made some interesting comments publicly, and he's put his name on it, and he said it again there that they are the top team in the East. Now, whoever the anonymous player is, I don't know. I have a feeling who I think it might be. I'm not gonna speculate, but maybe it's somebody who doesn't like JB. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's a player from back then. Maybe they just feel like JB's teams in the postseason. We've been a part of it, and we know how to beat them, and they can't mess with us in the postseason. I don't know, but they play tonight, and it's tonight a must win for the Cavs. He put it in the chat right now. Rated R fan Yule says, I hope the Cavs win tonight. I agree with you, Rated R. I mean, I think tonight has to be a must win for the Cavs home. Donovan Mitchell's out, but James Harden is playing, so you do get a big boost tonight compared to the last game. And you almost beat them without both of them the last game. You're at home tonight. You just came out and said from two different players that you're the best in the East. And when you just make a statement like that, they are not in our class. You better come out and back it up tonight. And this is where the Cavs need to prove that they're legit. Because in years past, they didn't come out and say statements like this, but they were crowned last year as the top of the East, and they went in the playoffs and laid an egg. They laid an egg 2 years ago against New York. You got to, at some point, you have to grow up and you have to mature. Or no, 3 years ago against the Knicks. And then last year, or 2 years ago, they were injured against the Celtics. They finally got over the hump, took them 7 games, beat the Magic. And then last year, you really fell short. And I feel like last year was a bigger disappointment than all of them because you were the top team all year and you laid an egg. So, they got to come out tonight. This is a great way to measure who you are as a team. You got new sheriffs. You got a new sheriff in town, and James Harden. You got Keon Ellis. You got Dennis Schroeder, 2 physical guys who don't really give a what. You're at home tonight. You better defend home turf tonight. That's all I got to say. And you got to come out and make statements like this. You better back it up. If they go out there and lose tonight, I don't have a lot of faith in them in the postseason. I'm just going to be honest. I mean, I already have question marks about their defense, perimeter defense, and all that. And I broke that down when they lost to the Thunder, did the film breakdown and all that. But, you better come out and back it up tonight because you come out and make statements like this, you better go out and show them why you're the top dogs in the East. I'll tell you that. Because if you don't, it looks pretty bad. I'm just going to be honest. It's going to be fun about the big guy in the paint, Jalen Duren against Jared and Mobley. Oh, yeah, that's always a big matchup right there. And then you got Isaiah Stewart, too. He's a big bruiser down low. So they got some dudes down low they can rotate out there. Just guys who are good at what they do. They don't need the ball in their hands, but physical, rebound. It's always a good matchup. We played Detroit. It's like an old school kind of matchup. It's going to be physical. It's going to be a dogfight for 48 minutes. So looking forward to it for sure. Where's the link? Wally wants the link, huh? Good to see you, Wally. Be the fight. What's up, chat? But I'm going to get my man up here, the man himself. Joining me now. You guys have seen him in the chat. He's the man. He's I don't know if he's the myth. Everybody knows Humble. he's the man. That's all I gotta say. He's the man. Humble's joining the show. Humble, what's up?
What's up, everyone? Can you hear me just fine, Joe?
Yeah, I can hear you, brother.
Right on, man. Yeah, man. It's good to be here, man. It's a good show to be on.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this. Humble. Obviously, Humble, you've been on a few times, but this is like
Yes,
now you're the highlight guest. So I'm looking forward to this.
sir.
He's making his debut. No,
Right.
but
No, seriously.
but maybe we'll get Wally up here in a second to get his thoughts
Sure.
on the cast. But I'll start with you though, Humble. You see, I put in the chat there, or in the not the chat. I keep mixing up my words. I need to get my mind right. Drink this tea off the side of me. But anyways, you said my guy Humble.
My guy,
but
yeah, he's from Indonesia. That's our guy in the group chat, man. He's a good
oh,
dude.
okay, yeah.
He
Thank you
can
for
coach.
tuning.
He coaches in Indonesia.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. Thank you for tuning in. When I saw that first comment, it kind of threw me off. I'm not gonna lie. I'm still trying to catch myself, gather myself.
Right.
I'm serious. I mean, you guys don't know how much that means. People watching from all over the world, just from where this channel started. That's pretty cool. But
It's massive love.
yeah, I mean, you threw me off, but in a good way. Thank you. But
Right.
Humble, you see in the group chat. Shout out to Nessie 8588 says, "Hey." Um, but you see there in the thumbnail,
Yes, sir.
Humble, you heard what Jalen Tyson said. He said they're the number one team in the Eastern Conference, even though the standings don't reflect that. And then
Yeah.
another player said they are not even in our class. Humble is what he said. Shots fired, like it says in the thumbnail. Your
Right.
thoughts?
You know, this is just all off the dome. I think Jalen Tyson, he's that chippy guy. I know, like you reflected on that, saying, you know, this is Donovan Mitchell's team now. Yeah, that happened. I like the confidence in that kid, man. Detroit. Now, this is where I wanted to talk about Detroit a little bit. I think the only person I really fear on Detroit is Cunningham and Jalen Dern. Reason
Yeah.
being, I think both those kids are really good, but like how you said, it's kind of like an older team back in the day. They go for more twos, and you'll see it threes here and there. But my thing about it is, they both have to have a good night. We don't have to have a good night. We can have Harden have a bad night. We can have Evan have a bad night. Shoot, Allen's gonna have a bad night. But we potentially have all these X factors, in my opinion. And when you look at it from that perspective, I know that there was a lot of refs came out and said that there was a lot of fouls that they didn't see and they were calling, and that's not going to help us win games, right? Well, what you guys got to see us at home. We're in Detroit now, so I'm hopefully. I mean, we're in Cleveland now. My bad, I misspoke. So I hope we can come out there electrifying. I know Harden's hurt still. Keon has that broken hand he's dealing with too. Um, or is it finger? It's one of the two. But those guys are ballers, man. They're real stewards of the game. And I think that Keon Ellis was a massive pickup. Schroeder,
Mm-hmm.
he had a couple of bad turnovers in Detroit. I'll get but he also came out and addressed that. He said, "Hey, that's on me. This loss was on me," and I like that he came out and said that because hey, someone's always going to be the blame on a loss, and who there's going to be eyes always looking around the locker room. Whose fault really was it, right? Well, hey, and I look at it from this perspective. We had six people out. That's a whole lineup and a six man. So when you look at it from that perspective, did we lose the game? I don't. I think they have to see us healthy, Joe. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, you make a lot of great points. I agree with a lot of what you said. I mean, here I thought the refs were not great the other night when I watched that game. It was a Friday night.
Yeah.
I thought there was some call. I thought Sam Merrill definitely got fouled on that three. The guy he
Mm-hmm.
was underneath his landing zone. That's technically by rule that's a foul. They didn't call it. I just thought the Jalen Tyson foul I thought was a little ticky tack. Like he's trying to foul on the floor, but you give him the shooting motion. Like when do you ever see that? Rarely it happens. So I think it was a learning experience though for guys like Jalen, some of those younger guys that got out there because stuff like those little things can cost you not only a game, but that game in the playoffs can cost you a series. So I think it's definitely learning lessons. I don't think it was trying to hit panic button like some people did after the weekend.
Right.
I think when you come out and make statements like this, though, I think it goes back to this. Humble. You know how I feel about this. and I've been saying it on my show for a long time now, even on Toon's show. You know, when you want to be the man, you got to beat the man, right? And the Cavs,
Right.
they haven't beaten the man in the postseason. They've fallen short. You know, they were the man going in the last postseason, and they got knocked off by an underdog. And
Hmm.
you know, a lot of it's been injuries too. You know, 2 years ago when they played the Celtics, they were injured. Last year, they didn't have another ball handler to really help Donovan in that postseason, um, like, especially when they played Indiana. But still, you know, you gotta be able to uh, show up when it matters most. And
Yeah.
so when you come out and make statements like this, and you're going against the top team again tonight, and you say that we are the top team in the East, and Jalen Tice put his name on it, and then
Yeah.
another guy says that I still laugh every time I read it, that they are not in our class. Well, when you start making statements like that, you gotta we don't care. At the end of the day, it's an 82 game season.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when I played football. You know, everybody's injured. You know what I mean? Everybody's hurt. Everybody's dealing with something. Some guys just don't make a big deal about it or even report it. Some guys do because they have to, or maybe they really are hurt. You know, but when you come out
Have you checked out or have you not? Right.
exactly, and when you come out and
Right.
make statements like this, I don't care if you're hurt or not. You better come out back like Jalen Tyson. He better come out and have a good game tonight. You know, you can't come out of here and lay an egg tonight. That looks bad. You know,
Yeah.
if you're going to be a young guy who we know how good you are, you're feeling yourself, you're confident this year, the year you're having. Well, you gotta keep backing it up, young fella. You know, you
Yeah.
can't go out there and, and lay an egg because you know that just looks bad. And you give a team like Detroit more confidence because if the Cavs lose tonight, humble, even with
Yeah.
James Harden, injured on his right hand, the shooting hand's still good. And yeah, they don't have Donovan and some other guys still, but you're at home, they just beat you at home. Like you need to go out there and defend your home court and make a statement because now if Detroit beats you again tonight, they'll say, "Well, you had James Harden, a new addition, and
Yeah.
we still beat you. Like we're not worried about you. You're giving them more confidence now because you look like a fool for making the statements and not backing it up."
Right. And they see you 4 times a year. So
Uh-huh.
right. And you can't just and back to JT, you can't just play good when Donovan's in the game. And I know Toon's a big believer and Donovan Mitchell's put him under his wing, JT. But you can't just be saying these stuff and then not showing up when Donovan Mitchell's not in the starting lineup with you. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Um, who's going to defend Cade tonight? Um, I'll be honest too. I like Keon Ellis a lot. I don't think he's going to start tonight. I don't know who they're going to start the two tonight. To be honest with you, because Mitchell's out, so it's probably going to be. If I was the coach, I would start Harden obviously at the one. I would put. I mean, we put Keon at the two. Humble. I mean, I don't know.
I think I'd start Sam, and then
Sam.
Keon comes off the bench. That's
All
my
right.
opinion. Just because I know Keon's dealing with that injury right now.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're probably I would go Sam at the two. I'd probably go JT at the three, and
Yeah.
then obviously our front court. Although no one Kenny, he might put Dean Wade at the three. Yeah, he
No,
just
I
can't get
know he
enough.
would.
He
I know
can't
he
get
would.
enough of them. Shout out Dean Wade. But anyways, so but I guess if I got Sam, and then I guess it's got to be James Harden. And it's not that I expect James Harden to play lockdown defense because that's not who he is.
Right.
I want James Harden to go full attack mode. I know he's got the injured right hand, but he grew up watching Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, I saw him one time play with one hand and still be effective.
100%.
So
Yeah.
it is what it is. You got to go. If you're playing, you're healthy. That's how I view it. That's how I was always taught, bro. You're out there. You're playing. You're good. So
Yeah.
you can still
He'll
shoot the
figure it
ball.
out.
Yeah, I mean,
He's a smart player. He's so smart.
yeah, and I think his best defense is his better offense. He needs to be
Yeah.
full attack mode. Attack Cade all game long, drive, dribble, like he does, like Charles said, dribble. And
Hmm.
hit him with the step back, create, be a playmaker for your bigs, get the bigs involved, get the shooters involved. James Harden could have a virtuoso game tonight. I mean, it's prime for him to have a big game tonight at home. No Donovan. This is a great for James to come out in front of the home crowd, having a big game to humble and make a
Hmm.
statement in front of the fans and show, why this is why you brought me in here. You know, he could shoot as many shots as he wants tonight because he doesn't have to dish it to the 45. You know what I mean? So, I think James will probably guard him, and then when Keon Ellis comes in the game, I think that's who I would put on him off the bench because he's just a bigger guy. You can wear him down. If I got Harden attacking him when he's out there, and then when Harden's not out there, I put Keon in there, and he's got
Yeah,
to make Cade really work for it because Keon's
right.
a high energy guy who, no matter who he goes against,
Or hell, even Schroeder.
or even Schroeder too. Yeah,
Schroeder
you
will
mean
give it to
Schroeder
him.
too. I mean, I like those three. Two, or I keep saying two. I'm used to two. I like those three humble. And I think that's a good recipe. I think the Cavs, even without Donovan Mitchell, should still win this game tonight.
Yeah. I know no Allen's tonight, but you think Allen and Harden could maybe go off tonight? You know, we've seen it with Donovan Mitchell and Allen before. You know,
Yeah.
they had to take us to overtime. So I mean, this is bound to be a good game. It's must watch TV.
So who all is out tonight? Let me pull that up.
Yeah, let's do
Um,
it.
who all
I'm
is
I'm
out?
pretty sure Mobley is out.
Dean Wade is game time decision. Mitchell's out. Struess is out, and that's it.
Oh
Yeah,
wow, Mobley's
yeah,
playing.
Moby's playing. Allen's playing. So everybody's playing tonight but Donovan.
Well then, hell, I say yeah. Those two guys, our guys got to show up, especially Mobley and Allen, and they will. They will. Um, what's his name? Jalen Dern had 33 points at home. You can't let that happen again. You
And
can't let that
that's
happen again. And he
and
had 16
Wiley.
boards.
There's Wiley. I don't believe in Jared Allen. He, he has to go.
I get it. I
And no
get
D
it.
Mitch worries me. I get what you're saying, but I think like that guy in your profile picture there, Nessie. I think it's his time tonight to go out there and shine. I think
Yeah.
now that we got him, I feel like no matter if D Mitch is out there or not, we got to go out and score 40 tonight if he wants to. So we got the people around him, the supporting cast, I think, to really help him get this win.
And
Wow, Kenny Atkinson, coach of the month. Shout out to Kenny with the coach of the month.
yeah, there he goes. He deserves it, man. We blew out New York.
Yeah, I mean he had some big wins. Did a nice job with the acquisitions at the before the deadline. Brought in some obviously you kind of rechange your roster a little bit there, almost. I mean, you got to give Kenny a lot of credit and the staff. Now they got to gear him up for the postseason where it matters most. But um, you know,
Um,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, and this is off top. This is a question of discussion mostly. It goes back to the Kenny thing. Kenny came here and we actually exceeded our record expectation. If I always said we could, and this was going back to me and Tune on his channel. I always told him we need that first seed. Well, I think we exceeded the expectation of getting that first seed and not really realizing what I mean, yeah, we could go back to the DG was hurt, all that, whatever. But do you think this is my question going back to this? Do you think Detroit getting this first seed, this is puts a lot of pressure on them? Hell, we
Um,
haven't seen Detroit with a first seed, and who knows, right?
yeah, I mean, I think it does because in some ways it does. Because I mean, were they expected to be the number one team in the East this year? No. I mean, I think a lot of people thought they would be. We talked about for the season. I thought they would elevate. Did I think they'd be this good? No, but I think so. Yeah, I mean, they felt like they're the best team, and they have
Yeah.
been, record wise all year in the East. So here's the Eastern Conference standings right here. I'm gonna get this. The link's in the chat for you, while if you want to come up here, or if somebody else wants to hit the link real quick too. But anyways, um, yeah, the standings right here. So I think the Boston Celtics, no JT this year. He may come
Mm.
back, although I think he might be coming back soon. But how is he going to look? I don't know. New York Knicks, they've kind of been the same thing in the postseason the last few years. A really good team, but haven't been able to go over the hump and get to the finals. The Cavs, same thing. Toronto, Philly, Orlando. I don't think anybody's really worried about any of those teams. So I think if you're Detroit, you're
It's
probably
open.
feeling like,
Yeah.
you've been the most complete team all year, the most consistent team.
And
And,
then goes
you
back
know,
to that Phil Jackson rule, that 40-20 rule. I mean, they're in that,
right.
right?
And I think too, I think the pressure's mainly, to be honest with you, bro, I think it's more on JB.
Yeah.
Because how many times has JB had the hottest team going in the playoffs when he was in Cleveland? He had it in 22. Remember they made
Yeah.
they were the hottest team, but they made the play in. They had a
Right.
young
No, I
core. They were
know.
on the cover of Slam magazine. The All Star game was in Cleveland that year, and they lost to the freaking Hawks. Remember that they laid an egg,
Hmm.
and then they go next year. You're a pretty good team. You go out and get Donovan Mitchell, and you go up against the New York Knicks with home court advantage, and you get smoked. Then you come back the next year. You got over the hump to beat Orlando. It took you 7 games, but then you lost because you were hurt to the Celtics. And so I think if I'm JB Bickerstaff, he's always been he's always been a really good regular season coach, but the
Yeah.
postseasons where a lot of people say, "Well, your team's never gotten over the hump." I
And
think
and and
he's feeling
you
the
and
most pressure. I think.
right, and you and Tune have both said, and I agree to this. He's more of like a developed team coach. Like
Yeah.
yeah, and I agree. I agree. We'll see what they do. We'll see what they do. I don't know. Cade's a superstar. I agree with that, but I think Jalen Dern and Cade Cunningham both have to have a good night in order them to be this playoff success. We'll see though.
I think the thing with them, before I get Wally up here, I think the thing with the Pistons too is outside of Cade, who else can create their own shot?
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing. Like when they get in the postseason, teams are gonna their whole game plan defensively is gonna be centered around slowing down Cade Cunningham, the center and the vocal point of the offense. And we talk about how the Cavs have a way to do that, where they can attack him offensively, and then they got two dudes off the bench now they could throw at him, right? So
Right.
even hell, you can even put JT on him if you want to. So
Yes.
we got guys we could throw out there on him. I think that's the thing I want to see with them. Who else is going to step up? I know Duran can be effective, right? Although I expect our bigs to be a little better defensively, they better be. That guy should be
Hmm.
getting off like that when we have 2 7-footers like that down low. You at least got to make him work for it a little more than the other night. But who's going to be the other guy for them? Who's the other guy? Because in the postseason, when it's a half court game, the game slows down more. You got to have guys that can create their own shot and not just shooting threes either. Like they got to be able to hit a mid range. Can you get to the basket? Can you create for others? Can you create with your handle? Like I don't know who else they have. You know what I mean? Like who else do
Right.
they have besides Cade? I mean, Ahmed Thompson's a nice player, but I don't think he's like a shot creator type guy. He's not like a Kevin
No.
Durant type guy or even a Paul George. And I'm not saying you have to have that, but who else can create their own shot? You know what I mean? Because I
And
think
here,
team playing them in the postseason, it's like all I gotta do is just center my game plan around stopping one guy.
right.
As long as the Cavs don't do what they did last year against Indiana, because
We'll be golden.
same thing in a way. Indiana, they didn't really have another shot creator. They had great players and shoot like the team last year, shooters, and they all knew their roles. I think Cade's a better player than Halliburton personally, but
Yeah.
I still think though the Cavs, as long as you don't jack up a lot of threes and turn in the hoist offense, you
Hmm.
should beat them. Like you should control the pace of the game, push it in transition, uh, play good defense, communicate. Like you'll win the game.
No, yeah. There's no debate there. I agree with you,
Oh
man.
yeah. Um, let's see. He says, "Do you think Harden can win the chip this season?" Well, surely has a shot to make it to I think he has the best shot he's ever had to make it to the finals
Since
since
OKC, yeah,
2018. I think since 2018
yeah, yeah.
when they had Chris Paul and Chris Paul got hurt. I thought they should have won that series the way that was
And
going. And
and I can I say this point real quick too? I
Mhm.
was also gonna say Chris Paul and Donovan Mitchell are two completely different players. And I know James Harden's a little bit older, but he hasn't lost a step. He still can give you he almost had a triple double. Hell, he almost had a triple
I
double
would say
against the
too, he's kind
Pistons.
of redefined his game even.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when I look at it from that angle, Donovan Mitchell's in his prime right now. We got James Harden right. We already know about Bron possibly coming home. Come on, dude. We're lined up to have something special right now, man. I think so. I
They
say let's
should
do
win
it.
one in the next 2 years.
They have to. They
They
have to.
have to. That's their window this year, next year. No doubt about it.
No doubt.
Joining us now, the president of the Jared Allen not so fan club. Wally's in the house. What's up, Wally?
How you doing? How you doing? How you doing, Humble? How you doing, Joseph?
I'm
Hey,
doing
Wally,
good,
what's
Wally.
going
How you
on?
doing?
I'm doing well and stuff. I'm just trying to get ready for the spring and stuff. But I got some like two topics. Not Jerry Allen, but Tomlin and Kenny, both, both in the same boat right now. Kenny need to bring uh give him give Tomlin some a lot of minutes, cause like every minute he have, like he start with like 2 points, a little bit of seven and stuff. I really want to see him like really have points for real and be part of the team and part of the game and stuff. So like I'm really asking for Kenny to start him like really early. Um, cause like right now we just signed him and he just giving us 7-2 every single game, and I really want him to unlock his potential of like this game, like and like the other game from Detroit is wasn't looking good for him. It wasn't looking good for him. But
Hmm.
the other one for Max, I did hear he was trying to practice uh that Detroit game, and they one of the physical people stopped him again. Uh, but what he what my source was telling me is like he's probably not going to be or eligible for this season, basically.
Oh, so
Um,
they don't think he's gonna come back at all.
yeah, he ain't like he got his shot up and everything. He told me like uh he do like defense, a little bit of cardio and stuff, but he's still like kind of, you know, on that foot and stuff. Like every time he jump and then the stuff, like um, it's like it's wasn't healing and stuff. So, um, but yeah, I think for Max, he just have to sit down or go home, heal, get ready for next season and stuff. But yeah, for that.
Mm,
But for next season though, and this right now and this season, Max is not going nowhere. Cleveland is not going to train him at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what his value is right now, anyways, with that foot, because teams don't know how healthy he is, and he's getting paid, I think, 15 million a year, I believe, somewhere in there. So
it's quite a lot.
I think he will play this year, though. If I had to bet, I don't know how much he'll play, but I know he's been working out, like you said, on the court. He's been doing more contact, and Kenny said last week he's trending towards coming back, and that he'll make a debut soon. I think he'll play. I think he has to play, but I don't think it may not be as heavy as it was last year. That's for sure. But I mean, we'll see
Yeah,
how he responds. I think he's probably right now, if I had to guess, what you were saying and from my observation, reading the article, with last week what Kenny said, I think he's probably about. I could see by the end of this month he'll be back. I think he's right now. He's just getting back in game shape. I think he's getting his body used to the contact,
right.
and I think he's tested out his foot obviously. But I think he'll definitely. I think he'll definitely play though. I think he'll be back by the postseason. Now, will he start like last year? I don't think he'll be a starter. I think he's probably. I don't know if he's ready for the heavy minutes. I think he'll definitely be a role player off the bench that we could definitely use. So
Yeah.
I agree with that. Let me ask you this though, Wally. Like I asked Humble, what's your thoughts on the Cavs statements here? Um, Jalen Tyson said that they are the number one team in the Eastern Conference, even though the standings don't reflect that. And then another player said privately that quote the Pistons, referring to them, they are not in our class. Your thoughts?
Um, I mean, James Tyson, he's still young and stuff and all of that stuff, but I get it what him saying, but saying all of that, like, come on now, like,
It's like, bro, you only have
I
15. Like
like,
you can't, you know.
like it's like, man, like, do you want to go to Detroit? Like, that's how I'm seeing it. Like, do you want to go to Detroit? Like, and
Well,
saying all of this,
teams up
like,
there, they're
you
gonna be
need to,
targeting his ass.
like, he needs to shut up sometime. Like, you need to shut up sometime. With the Donovan Mitchell City and stuff, I was. like I say, okay, he got, I like him, but like with all of this stuff, he needs to shut up now. Like, like he probably is going to go to Detroit next season, but
Let
hey,
me
that's
ask
up.
you. Let me ask you guys this: do you agree with the second statement? I'll start with you, Humble. Is Detroit not in the Cavs class?
I mean, if we're talking about talent wise, no. There, like you said, there's who else besides Kate Cunningham can get his shot off. I mean, we have two X factors in Donovan Mitchell and James Harden. You know what I mean? I look at it from that perspective. No, yeah, they're not on our level. They've been lucky as far as health, and it just so happens that James Harden, Keon Ellis, and I'm pretty sure Shrews are dealing through injury.
Wally?
Yeah, he ain't. They ain't. Nah. Uh. Oh. Man. They only have Kate Cunningham, a big name on the team. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
With the same class and stuff. No, they not in the same class.
I mean,
They,
I agree with you guys. I think from a talent standpoint, they're not. But I
yeah,
think
the
from a
talent
team
point. Yes.
standpoint and the being a dog mentality, I think they may be a little avid edge from us in some ways. Because here's my thing with the Cavs: I don't know what team I'm getting some nights, like
But look,
I
especially
but
mean,
other
against the
isn't that
thing,
bigger
the injury
teams.
part too?
Well, I
other
get
thing, they
well,
don't.
yeah, that the injury part, the availability, which is the best ability, but also just even when they're healthy, like when they played OKC, like that was their reason. The reason that was
Oh
their big
yeah,
test when healthy, right? Was that
I want.
OKC
Right.
game, and they
I
went out there
want.
and laid a freaking egg.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will. I really want to talk about the OKC situation. Um, yeah, they. Man, I did not see Jared Allen nowhere to be found. Like like for real, I'm not shooting
Oh,
no shots,
oh yeah, that
but
game was bad.
what the hell he's doing? Like Jared Allen guarding a guy, freaking switch and just went straight to the freaking paint. Like
Yeah, they were bad. If
Well,
you guys saw my film breakdown of that game, that
like
was
Jared
I
Allen
saw that.
should have been in the freaking by the freaking center of the hoop, like defending the rim. What's going on, bro? It looked like they was like ants, like just scrambling like everywhere. But with the back to Detroit, Detroit don't got no big man. Like the how we
Well, I
see
mean,
it and how they is number one. Like they don't need no big man and stuff or no two centers and stuff. I could say that to them. They very like again like they lucky with no injuries, no
yeah.
health, no nothing. But it's a man. It's shoot, man. I don't know, bro. Like I don't know how they do it because they don't have no two centers.
well, I mean, they got Isaiah Stewart, who's a dog down low, and
Yeah.
that's not somebody I'd want to play the 7 game series personally. Because I don't. Who do we have out? I mean, I think Thomas Bryant. I think he needs to play a little more, especially in the postseason. I think he could be our enforcer, which you have to have. I think you got to have somebody go out there and get a couple hard fouls a game. And I'm serious. Like you need to go out there to clothesline 2 people tonight.
Well,
That's your job. So I think that and just get rebounds and set good screens and be aggressive in terms of your play. That's what we need. So I think they have that with him, and he's very good at it. He's very good at what he does. I think he knows his role, and you don't want to get in a fight with him either. You can't. My gosh, that guy, he gets a fight, can't stop. I can't slow him down, running through tunnels and all kinds of shit. So I think we need that guy down low. I think we have it now in the guards, fellas. I think we got with Ellis and Schroeder, they bring that. We
Yeah.
needed that
right.
that
They
dog
bring that
mentality.
grit.
Yeah, we needed that guy who can push the edge. I mean, I think and Harden brings a different swagger to the team too that they didn't have. But you got to have that guy down low. I love Evan Mobley's Evan Mobley. he's a stud. He's going to do what he does. Jared Allen, he plays really hard. Um, I think he's pretty good at what he does. I think Jared's a solid. I know Wally's not a big fan. I think Jared's a pretty good center. I think he's very good at what he does. He can go out and get you 20, 10 any given night easily. But, I think some nights, though, where you go against the guys like the better teams, people have questioned, does he show up? Does he play well? And, does he protect the rim? Does he send him? I need Jared Allen to be a little more of an enforcer down low, is what I'm saying. Like,
Like,
either you start being the enforcer, Jared, or I'll just put Thomas Bryant out there in some minutes, and you just go out there and just send a message. Like you got to tell these teams it's not going to be given to you easily because they do it to us.
right.
And that's my thing with the Cavs. It's like you're gonna come out and make statements like this. Like they're walking around today like making statements like this. Like we won 3 championships the last 4 years, and we're the real OKC. It's like when you guys have nothing. You've fallen short in the playoffs every year, and like you need to start acting like a team that's hasn't proven anything because you haven't. And if you're gonna make statements like this, what you did now, I would have said all this stuff personally. That's just me because you haven't. I'm keeping low key, but I like their confidence. But you better back it up. If they come out and lose tonight at home after making statements like this to the media publicly, like my confidence is going down slower. I'm gonna start preparing myself, fellas, for another hoisting off postseason where they're just gonna hoist a bunch of threes. They're gonna fall short and lay an egg.
I mean, I did say to y'all this too, two knows too. I said like I'm not gonna be surprised if they gonna make it or not in the playoffs or you know, but probably the playoffs, but probably the second round exit. Hey, that's normal, you know.
I mean,
But
I get. I mean, that's what they've proven to you for the last 3 years.
yep. So
I get. And that's why they need to change that starting tonight. I think tonight's a great because not only that, not only did you just make these statements publicly, but you also last time you played against a top team in the East when you had at least James or Donovan out there in OKC, you had both. You laid an egg. So you need to come out tonight and make a statement at home and back it up for once. Well, I guess when with this for Humble and I go to our last segment, Wally, and I'll go to you too, Humble. Predictions for tonight. What do you guys got?
I'll let Wally go first.
Go ahead, Wally.
wait, why me? But
You want me to
okay.
go first?
No. I would
Score
say
prediction. What do you got?
score prediction. I think it's going to be 200 to 90. I'm playing.
Breaking
But
the record tonight, huh?
I think pretty much I think it's going to be like around like 40 or 130 for Detroit, and then for the Cavs, uh, I would say it's going to be 129.
So you got the
129.
Cavs losing.
Yeah.
Oh man, if the Cavs give up 130 to 40 points at home to Detroit, Humble. If I'm Kenny Atkinson, I got him out there running suicides after the game.
Oh yeah, I would too.
Or you're running sprints
It
after the game.
it also how they gonna make 120 is 3 or 2 foul shots.
All right. So Wally's got us losing tonight, Humble. What do you got?
Well, let me see. When's the last time we had a James Harden game?
Why you think of that? Hey, Wally, what's the Jared Allen stat line going to be tonight?
Oh man, I don't know, man. Like I would say 15 or 13 because he probably not gonna play. He ain't gonna play. He ain't gonna play like hard and stuff. Like he's lazy, man. He's just lazy. He's lazy. The only good game he do is like bad teams. Giving you 40, giving you like
out there looking like Wilt.
But like, yeah, it's like a curse for him. Like he can't do good with good teams. Like I really want him to have 40 that Detroit game. I really want to see that, but he like something's going on. Something's really going on. Like you need to ask for the ball more, just like Tomlin and stuff. I really want to see Tomlin go hard tonight because we signed him, and I know part of it is not his fault. Kenny needs to give him more minutes.
I
Donovan Mitchell not going to play.
get more minutes over Dean Wade in certain spots.
Yeah, more definitely.
Def-
Oh, and also,
I'd rather if Dean Wade's not hitting his threes, I'd rather have the defense in the. I know I can rebounding and hustling. I got somebody that at least is going to bring something out there.
yeah,
Yeah.
D Wade was a credible shot maker in Detroit.
New York. Oh,
Um,
I thought you were saying the New York game.
He did have a good game
yeah,
versus
both.
Wade.
Oh, he had a great game in New York.
Yeah, both basically. Um, he just needs to keep doing that. Shots, defense, everything. He needs to keep doing that. But yeah, that's all though.
Well, I got the
But yeah,
Cavs tonight, 121-98. I'm a bank that they actually got to show up and defend home turf tonight after making these statements. Humble, what do you got, brother?
I say Harden's playing. Allen's game gets unlocked. I think Harden's gonna come out with 22. Allen's gonna have 20. Maybe Evan has 17. We'll get the job done. I say like 130 to like 115.
I'm going to say Harden has a 35-point triple-double tonight.
I hope so. I say maybe 22 with 12 assists.
I mean, I'll
I
take
need.
that too. As long as they win, that's all I care about. But
Right.
I just think it's a great opportunity for him to go out there without Donovan and just turn back the clock a little bit and show the
Let
home
Harden
fans
unlock
why
those
you
bigs,
traded for him.
guys.
Yeah.
Let Harden unlock the bigs. Let it happen.
But while you
But
got the
yeah,
last statement here in this segment, Wally, before I let you go ahead.
yeah, man. Like I want the Cavs to win. Like I'm from Akron, so like I ain't going to say like, oh, like I want them to lose. No, I'm not saying that. I want them to win, but you don't know about this team like off and on and stuff. Like they just need to step it up. And I really want. And look, this is my prediction too. I hope Kenny give Tomlin at least 30, 36 minutes tonight. If I don't see that, he gotta go. Kenny gotta go. And he don't deserve that he don't deserve that monthly coach coacher of the month.
He
Cause
don't
like
deserve the monthly. Oh man.
yeah, he don't deserve
Uh,
that. But yeah, that's all.
all right. Well, Wally, I
This show.
appreciate you coming up here, brother.
You're welcome.
I'll
No
talk to you
problem.
again soon, maybe on Tune's channel. I'll do another one of these. Humble and I are going to
Yes,
take a
sir.
quick break and shout out to Wally. I'm going to take a quick commercial break real quick. Oh, I say commercial. I wish I had a commercial shit, but I got a somewhat of an ad. It is kind of a commercial for the show. An old clip from me and my buddy Mike Matthews, who is over on work for Kai Sanat's team now from Akron. So shout out to Mike. But I'm gonna play this clip real quick, take a little break, and when we come back, Humble and I are gonna talk some real life stuff to close out the show. Don't go anywhere. Stick around.
It's interesting to me. God really did have that plan for me throughout this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
It was simply just up to me when I was able to stop playing God. I thought I was the one making things happen. No, God is in control. A saying my dad used to always say was, man plans while God laughs. I had a plan for my life. Like, I was going to be, I'm talking about from as soon as I can remember my first thought, I'm going to be in the NFL. I'm going to be, a quarterback.
Right.
I'm gonna, my life was made.
I'm gonna have all this money. I'm gonna get any girl I want. I'm gonna have all these cars.
Yeah,
That's gonna be good.
I'm talking Beyonce is gonna be like, "Hey, what are you doing
What's
today?"
up?
Then Rihanna tomorrow. Like it was this plan I had for my life, and as I got older, obviously the plans got smaller, but I still continue to plan. Um, Something that I do now, and I would recommend everybody doing every single night when I pray. What I used to do was say, God, allow me to pass this test. God, allow me to, meet this girl. God, allow, this date to go well, this day to go well. When I go to sleep every single night, what I pray for is for God's will to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Because He obviously knows what He's doing. I don't.
Right.
Because if I knew what I was doing, I would be, I wouldn't be talking about Baker on the Browns. I'd be on the Browns right now. If
Mm-hmm.
I knew if I followed my plan, Beyonce would be hitting me up. She hasn't hit me up. I must have missed that call or something.
All right. She don't want some bake.
Right? She doesn't want the AMP producer. She has a billionaire husband or something.
Right.
It's interesting to me. God really did have that plan for me throughout this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
It was simply just up to me when I was able to stop playing God. I thought I was the one making things happen. No, God is in control.
Mm-hmm.
From the moment I wake up, God is in control. So
My apologies. I thought I unmuted my mic there, Humble.
No, you're good.
I was sitting there like, what's going on? But all right, welcome back. Time to move on now to our last segment here. This is something Humble and I actually, we talked about on the phone the other day, brother. We want to do more of these type of conversations, talking about life. You know what I mean? And I want to get back to a little bit what I used to do in a different way now, though, because I'm a lot more older. I'm older now, not a lot more older, but I'm older now, more mature, a lot more mature, and I've really grown a lot and overcome a lot of things in the last 3 years since I really dove in deep on the internet and shared my story of what I used to go through and what I overcame and all that. But I want to start with this with you, Humble. I think this is a good first one to talk about today. Comparison is the thief of joy. From Theodore Roosevelt. Old Teddy
Yeah.
Roosevelt. That was his famous saying.
The
I
goat.
really, yeah. And I really thought about this a lot recently, Humble, because somebody like myself, right, and I want to give a shout out to my guy, Evan Reed, the Togo. You guys might know the Togo. He's got millions of subscribers. He's a tow truck driver out of Cleveland. He has all the videos where he has to repossess people's cars. That's his job. It's not like he likes to do that to people, but that's his job. But he has incredible content. He's actually a really good dude. And I've gotten to meet Evan personally. And he came to a game last football season, and he pulled up on us at the home in Glenville game. And he and I had already been talking to each other in DMs and stuff, and we exchanged numbers. I want to have Evan on the show here down the road. I was trying to a few months ago, but I got busy, and I know he's been busy. He just moved into his new house. Congratulations to him and his wife and his kids. And great guy though, but he's a guy. If you know his backstory, he's talked about it openly. I could hear more about it when it comes on here. He spent years in prison.
Mm.
Way back in the day in his life. I think he spent 6 years. And so when he got out, he talked about it last night. I actually did a live. He was talking about it. He said, man, he was like, man, when I got out, it was hard for me I couldn't compare myself to other people because, a lot of people he grew up with, they were already had families and they were doing things in their life, maybe had houses and stuff. And, he said I had to just focus on myself and stay locked in and just told himself that one day I'll get there. Well, he got there all right, and God had a bigger plan for him, no doubt about it. And so, somebody like myself, who, if you guys know my story, when I was 15 years old, I struggled with anxiety and panic disorder really bad. I wasn't able to finish high school in person. I had to leave abruptly my sophomore year, right? And I was locked in my house for a while. I was afraid to leave my home. It was conditions, the clinical terms agoraphobia, but I just had gotten real bad funk, and it was on and off like that from 2015 all the way till 2021, just on and off. Some good periods where I'd be that kind of normal, and some periods where I could barely leave the house, go a block away. The longest ever lasted was about a year. So that was the beginning of technically my senior year in high school. Couldn't really leave the house that year, and so a lot of this for me, I could relate to what Evan was talking about. I know Humble, we've talked about it, personally. He's going to go get into a little bit, but for me, I can, attest to a lot of this. This statement for me has really been true. How comparison is the thief of joy, and how you can't compare your life to other people's. Like not everybody I know, and Humble, I was telling you this the other day. I don't even know a lot of people, anybody my age, that went through what I went through. You
Yeah.
know, so it's hard for me to. I shouldn't sit around and compare myself. This is why I've stayed off social media. Going back to November, I haven't really been on social media that much. You guys used to see me posting a lot of stuff on there. I haven't been doing it because I had to take a break. I just said, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. I think social media, to me, more than any other thing out there, has really made a lot of people compare their lives to people, because people on social media, Humble, they only show you what they want to show you most
Yeah.
of the time. They only show you the good. They don't ever want to show you the bad, right? But a lot of people, especially people you grew up with, you see they have kids maybe, or they have homes or whatever, and that's good. Everybody's path's different, but doesn't mean it's always perfect, because it's not. Nobody lives a perfect life, because perfection doesn't exist. Only in Jesus Christ it exists. So, you know, I think for me, I had to stop looking at that stuff, because it was like, I'm not going to keep tricking my mind and lying myself to think, second guess myself, and even without social media, I still have to, it's been like it's been a process breaking out of that thought pattern, because I think we all grew up in this, our age group. I'm 26, almost what, 25.
Yes, sir.
So, we all grew up in this stuff, now it's on steroids with some of these younger kids. It is. I mean, I'm around a lot of these high school kids, like, Humble, I heard a fourth grader got caught at a school for smoking pot and smoke or cigarette.
Wow.
A fourth grader. The access to information nowadays, but also just how it's, look at even fourth grade level now. What the stuff they're thinking about, Humble, it's crazy. But a lot of this stuff online, I think, is designed to make us compare ourselves to other people. You have these fake bought and paid for influencers on social media, and that's their goal, is to show this fake life. And I think a lot of people since 2020, for some reason, since that time, a lot of people have changed, and I don't think for the better. But a lot of people's life goals have really, you know, it's all catered around trying to live up to this lifestyle that they see on social media, and they compare themselves to other people constantly. But it's like it says there, comparison is the thief of joy, because you're never going to have what somebody else has, and that person's not going to have what you have. But I think what we've lost sight of in society, and I know I did at times, sometimes I still do, where I got to check myself. I just get out of it a lot quicker now because I'm aware of it, is focus on where God has you, right? You have unique abilities. You have a unique plan for your life. The moment I finally accepted that this is what God, my path obviously was a lot different. I was like a three-sport athlete growing up. I had a lot of goals, dreams, and ambitions going into high school that all just fell flat and never panned out. And went from going to school every day, playing sports every night, to being around my teammates, constantly having fun, being a kid, to I couldn't even leave my house. So it was a complete 180. So I had to accept that God had a plan for me, that, this crazy scenario that happened in my life didn't make a lot of sense, was painful at times, but it was, God allowed it. And it was his way of detouring my life towards where he wanted me to be. And I'm slowly now, over the last few years, starting to see what that plan was. Once I finally let go and surrendered, and I think I really did that back in 2023 when I went through a program with the anxiety guy, and I really just let go a lot of things in my life and moved on a lot of things. And I figured out, like, you know what, man, this is who I am. And I'm glad I did, because right now, and I could truly say it, if I didn't go through what I went through, Humble and I would know each other.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to have this platform for other people to speak. So I don't mean to go on a rant there, Humble. I'm trying to just warm up the conversation here a little bit.
No, you're doing perfect,
But
brother. I was
what you go ahead, Humble. What you got,
I
bro?
was just gonna highlight on what you just said, what just touched my heart, man. You said focus on what God has, and God has a unique path for you, bro. You know what I mean? And if that doesn't touch your heart, you stay off social media. You're on social media too much. That's how I feel. And because you're right, man. Because I got one, two, three, four, five friends in the military right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I keep thinking like, man, what am I doing wrong? And I shouldn't be thinking that way. Like you said, comparison is the thief of joy. I go into my welding school. I'm talking to my best friend. His name's James Thomas. I says, man, James, I feel like I'm not as smart as these kids in the class. They're moving so fast. He said, stop saying that. It's funny that we're talking about that. He said,
Mm-hmm.
comparison is the thief of joy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, man. Hey, like how you said, focus on what God has for you, because God has a unique path for you. You know, you need to put that on a t-shirt because
Yeah.
man,
And it
that's
really is a
cold.
walk that you submit every day in what you do. Like, every day when I get up, no matter if I have a low key day like today or if I have a day like yesterday where I'm going around doing a bunch of things I love, you know what I mean? Like, whatever I have each day planned, I get up every day. When I wake up, that's who I am. I
Yeah,
am who would God call me to be. And you take that with stride. You know what I mean? And it don't matter if you don't got a whole lot or if you don't, or if you don't have a whole lot or if you do, excuse me.
I know what you're saying.
Every day you got to wake up and look at yourself in the mirror. And every day when you get up, you still got to. I mean, it's like Joey Diaz said that time. He said, you got to get up and wipe your like everybody else. You got to brush your teeth, put gel in your hair, put mouthwash in your mouth. That Randy had that time, and you got to shout to Joey Diaz, and you got to just attack life every day like everybody else. You know what I mean?
True.
So it really is no different. But you know, I think too humble. I don't know if you noticed this too. Have you noticed in the last like 6 years like a change in a lot of people our age group, really in general, not just our age group, but I don't know about you. I've noticed like this since like TikTok came around in 2020.
Hmm.
I mean, it was around before that, but I feel like it really exploded in 2020 because everybody was in their houses, obviously, with the COVID happened and everything.
Sure.
It just seems like there's been this like it's people have changed to me, and I could tell just by being back around sports, even at the high school level. It just the athletes have changed. Everything's a lot more individualized now, and it's very. I think this society is as selfish as it's ever been, and I think a lot of that is through just people are so determined to achieve this life that they feel like they have to live that they see online. Um, or just, I mean, what's your thoughts about all that?
Well,
Am I the
I
only one that
always
notices all this?
no, I agree with you, man. I was telling to my buddy, it's like we work these jobs and like we get bare minimum, and it's like I get to thinking about myself. I'm like, we gotta fix something because it's like all I see old people working, and I see them working at Walmart, and it's like they're in a wheelchair. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Mm.
it hurts my heart, man. It times has changed. A lot of things are way too much more expensive as it used to, inflation, if you will, and it's just like it's sad, man. It's sad. I don't have anything I want really right now. All I have is uh my faith, myself, my family and friends, and I just grateful for who I am, and you got to keep the positives rather than the negatives, because at the end of the day, it's so easy to fall into the devil's path and just really like embrace what he wants you to. And I used to hate myself, and I couldn't stand to look in the mirror of who I was, and it took a lot to just like really like smile. Tell mom you love her. Go on that walk that you need to take and clear your head. Play a song on the headphones and put it on repeat just because it makes you feel good. You know what I mean? Because it's so easy to just fall into what he wants you to, depression. My opinion.
Oh, yeah. And I think you made a good point about the person at Walmart, right? But I would, I would say this too. I go to Walmart all the time by me, and they always have these guys, people that work up front that, one of them, I think, I don't want to say, but one of them, I think you could tell he's maybe a little disabled, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and I've seen people work a wheelchair, but what's crazy though, Humble? A lot of people I see though, those are the happiest people I've seen.
No,
They're
yeah,
just happy to be there every day. I mean, they just love working at what they do. They love greeting people. They love talking to, saying hi to people. They just take pride and they have a joy in what they do. It's like it says there, it's a thief of joy. And it's like imagine if everybody could have that type of
yeah.
happiness and everything they do. You know what I mean? Like if the
That's a good
person
point.
that works at Walmart, and this is no hate on people to work at Walmart, but if they can work there and make, okay money to at best, or, who knows? I mean, some people may probably make a living if they're like a manager or something. I don't know. But,
Sure.
you know, I've seen people there, you could tell they're just door greeters that probably don't make a lot of money. And I know right now, I know people that work in retail, it's hard to get a lot of hours. but they're just happy to be there. And every day they're the same. No matter if they're having a you don't know if they're having a bad day. They don't you know what I mean,
They don't show it.
they don't show it. They just want to make you smile and greet you when you come in. And it's like, imagine if everybody had that. It's like I was talking with my best friends in life. We were walking out of somewhere last week, and we were walking out of this place, and it's a great place. It's a great place to work. You're around a lot of high schoolers and kids. And my buddy looked at me, walked in, and said, "Man, everybody here is just so damn miserable." Like you see a lot of people nowadays when you go to work, but people just look miserable. You know what I mean? Like, and these are people that work pretty good jobs, humble. Jobs that other people wish they had. Like opportunities they wish they had. And it's like people just are like just angry, just bitter, like they're pissed off to be at work. But it's like imagine if more people had that mentality. But you know what I noticed though, humble, about people that work, like we were talking about the greeters and Walmart or the people like that, is they don't really care about what's going on in the outside world. Like this Walmart I go to, it's out in the little, kind of out in the country a little bit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell it's people out there, they just don't really give a shit. Like they just like they have what they have. They have family, they have Jesus, and they got guns. That's all they need. That's like I'm just keeping it honest. Like they got everything they need. Like they don't have a lot, but to them they got everything. But they're content with what they have. And I feel like contentment is what's been lost in society. I think when you constantly look at social media all day, it's so dehumanizing. A shout out to my man Mike Snodgrass, very close friend of mine. He's a preacher. I listened to one of his sermons recently, and a mentor of mine, really close mentor. And he said that recently. He was like, man, he told us he was preaching to his church, and he told the church, he's like, get off social media. He goes, it's so dehumanizing. And it really is if you think about it. Like, obviously, you can control, like what we do on there with our group chat. That's fun. Obviously, that's just talking ball. We have a good time. We're all wholesome people. But if you get on that, a lot of what that app, what's promoted on there, and you interact with that stuff all day and swipe, and you spend hours a day. I know people humble that's had a 4-hour straight addiction to TikTok.
Oh, sure.
4 hours straight. You know what you could do in 4 hours to help your mind and your body and your spirit?
100%.
You could do a whole lot more than that. You know what I mean? So it's like, and I think, humble, it's like everybody just has that mindset, bro. Like they just compare themselves, people constantly. And it's just like, I gotta. Man, what I went through in my life and my story, I had to check myself over the weekend because it's like I got that mindset a little bit on Sunday. Like I was sitting there like, man, I still don't have X, Y, and Z yet. Like, because a lot of because of what I went through, I don't have a lot of basic things yet that a lot of people have already had because of, I had to get to a point where I can achieve those things because of what I went through. In some ways I relate to Eben. Like one of the biggest things that helped me with where I was is actually people who spent time in prison, because when they got back out, it's like they had to reintegrate back into society again, and kind of like, like what Eben said last night about not compare yourself to people and stay focused on what he could control, and just and having that mindset that he'll get there one day. That's something I've had to adopt, because it's like I couldn't control what happened to me. It was out of my control, but it's like now I'm back at 25, 24, 25, 6 years old. You look around, you're like, damn, there has a lot of things that passed by in that time, So it's like I had to accept a lot of things. But I also, if I had that mindset of constantly comparing myself, like, oh my gosh, so-and-so has this, and I see this on there, and they're married, and they have this, they have kids, and they have this amount of money, and blah, blah, blah. All these things that really don't mean anything in life, to be honest with you. Like, doesn't mean, just because it's good for somebody else doesn't mean it's good for you. If I had that mindset, though, humble compare, I would be right back to square one. I'd be right back to square one, down in the dumps like I was, and anxious and depressed. It's a tricky game out there, man. And I think this, spiritually speaking, that, social media has a lot of good things, but I think in the end, a lot of it's designed to do that to you. It's like you said earlier, humble. It's a trick by the devil. It's designed to make you compare yourself, because if we know it's a thief of joy, he certainly knows, and he's always going to be game planning against you to try to slow you down and stop what God's plan is for your life.
All right.
Let me go on a rant there, but I want to talk about this though, humble. Going back to social media, I think like humble, like we said, a lot of people, they don't want to show you, right, what not everything going on there. They only want to show the positive. They want to paint a picture of what their life is because they're so worried about the public image of being liked and accepted, right? And kind of like that dopamine effect of just getting the likes and retweets and everything and everybody applauding you all the time. But life's not always flowers, is it, humble?
No, it's
Uh,
not.
a lot of times it's not, and as Christians, you're going to suffer in this world. But suffering, I think, is good. Something my grandmother taught me growing up, suffering it's good to suffer as a Christian because that's how you mold yourself. It's like what Paul talked about. I believe it was Paul at the time. He said he had a thorn in him, right? But that thorn kept him close to God. He didn't have a thorn realistically, but it was like a thorn in terms he had something in his life that was like a thorn, but that kept him it drawed him closer to God. It kept him focused on God, where God is who he had to rely on. But I think it's good for more people, and I applaud Humble and salute to you, bro, for you come up here and talk about this stuff, but even sharing what's going on in your life, and that's why I've always shared what I want to go do, because it's like this verse says here. It says, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. And it's the Apostle Paul here talking. And what he's saying is he's going to boast about his weaknesses, humble, because, and really, that's what God wants you to do. You can't just share this. I think if you're constantly trying to share the good and paint this picture, you're really doing what the devil wants you to do in a way.
Yeah.
You're really just going along. You're trying to be excited because you're trying to be accepted by the world, is what you're doing. And we've all fallen short, but God wants you to share everything. I think God, and not saying you got to put on a platform, but boast about your weaknesses, like Paul said, because what you went through, like what helped me, humble, was I met a guy named the Anxiety Guy on the internet who, guess what he did? He came out and shared his weaknesses he went through and how he overcame them. And guess who it helped? Some kid in Ohio named Joseph Latman. So, I think this is a great mindset. It's a reminder for me and hopefully for everybody out there that boast about your weaknesses. Put them on display. Talk about them. Show people your progress. Show people how you overcame things. Like, help somebody. It could be just one person in your community, or in your family. You never know. I never thought I'd meet Humble. I didn't know Humble was, but Humble found me on the internet. So, and Humble's been I love Humble because he's very raw and he's not afraid to just keep it real. So. Your thoughts on this verse there, Humble? What's your take on this?
Well, I was gonna say, I just kind of wanted to go back off what you were saying, because I wanted to go off a little what you were saying with, there's always gonna be something that's popular. I was thinking there's always gonna be a fad. WWE was huge back in the 80s, and rap music was massive at one point, and now it's like country's huge right now. They got UFC's blowing up with that Paramount deal, and it's just there's always going to be something that everyone's going to be infatuated with. But as long as you just got to always resonate with yourself and be like, hey, is this for me? Question the world. That's what I do with myself. I question the world. Hey, how do I sound after this sentence? Am I out of character by saying this? Am I still being who I think I am? I don't know. What I'm trying to say is, just don't be afraid to be okay with you, because a lot of people are always going to put on a persona, and you know what I'm saying? And yeah, something's always going to be popular, and it's always going to be a fad. But you look back a couple years later, like those little wristbands. I used to have all those little wristbands. You take them off, and they're just like an animal. I don't know what those things are called. And I'm saying there's always going to be something popular. There's always
silly
going to
strays
be
or silly bands. Remember those?
Yeah, silly bands. That's
silly
what they
bands. A Nike Elite socks.
Oh, come on, brother.
Oh my
Yes,
God, man!
sir.
You pull
Come
up with the
on.
new. You'd be like, man, I'm flexing up with these green Nike Elite socks. You ain't got these.
Right.
You ain't got these. The hell's you ain't got these.
It'll always be something like that,
Yeah, it is. And that's like kids, middle school thinking, right?
Right.
But it's like that thinking though is still out there. I mean, and we're all human.
No, sure.
Like we all know we're all human, right? We all have flesh,
We
right?
have that kid version of ourselves, or I like to think that we all should still have that.
Yeah, and it's exactly, and it's natural for us to compare ourselves to people because we're human. We have flesh within us, but you overpower the flesh with the spirit, right?
Yes, sir.
And if you don't do that, the flesh will run your life, and before you know it, you have an idol in your life. And that could be social media, that could be addiction, that could be anything. Things that could anything to steer you away from God and steer you away from who you are. If you
Yeah.
don't believe in God, it's still steering you away from who you really are. Like man, yeah, when I was in high school, humble or in college years, yeah, I wasn't able to leave my house and go very far. I didn't have a job. Yeah, I wasn't out doing something productive in my life at that time. But you know what I had though, man? I still have my relationship with the Lord. I still had a
Yeah.
great family, a loving family. I still had, I had a bike, right? And that bike helped me go out and just ride around where I could go as far as I can go, you know. And I've written about this in the article I did with Voyage magazine last year. Shout out to them, go read that. And where I get more detail about my story. But you know, what I had though? I had spirit. I still have my spirit.
Yeah.
I look back. It's great being back around a lot of things now, humble. But sometimes I kind of miss some of those days. To be honest with you, because it was like there was no care in the world. Yeah, I wasn't where I wanted to be, but once I kind of just embraced that and made the best of it, I was kind of happy and content with just like I knew. I never gave up my belief, and I always had hope, and I always had a spirit, and I always had that childlike faith within me still. And
Right.
that's one thing I think had I went a different route where I wanted to go when I was in high school, had things went the way I wanted to, I probably would have lost that. Who knows where I'd be right now?
Yeah.
I'd be on. I don't know where I'd be right now. Probably wouldn't be in a good spot. Anything where I'd want to be. I'd tell you that. But again, I didn't have a whole lot during that time, but I had enough, and God always provided for me. I still had food on the table every night. Had a warm bed. Had a roof over my head. Clean clothes. Shower. I had all the essentials I needed, and I still had my spirit. I still laughed, joked around, and in those years, though, it's funny. Almost like what I thought was bad uh, actually was good, you know.
Right.
And it's like the story of Joseph in the Bible. 17 years old, his own family turned on him. They were jealous of him because he was a little more chosen than the rest of them, and they turned on him. They lied on him, and they were going to kill him. Then they sold him off, and he was wrongfully imprisoned. And they told the father that he passed away. And then for 13 years he went to this, and but while he was still in prison, he still thrived. Right. And then one day
Mm.
he came across uh, the king's wife, and she liked Joseph because he was good looking, and she was like, she wanted him to come cheat on her husband with him, and he told him no. He was so committed to the Lord, right? But she lied on him, and obviously the ruler got mad and threw him into more prison, right? And then when he got down in the dumps again, even a deeper hole, guess what? He still thrived. But he always had Joseph had a skill set where he can read dreams. He can interpret dreams. And he had an incredible skill set back then, at that time. And then one day Pharaoh needed a dream interpreted. And guess what? They said, hey, we got this kid down in prison. And he got up there and he interpreted the dream. And then Pharaoh said, you guess what? Not only are you free from prison, but you're second in command next to me. All in one day. So after 13 years down in the pit, he still had a skill set. It was like all those 13 years molded him for that moment. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like one day it just happened. And it was just like that. God said, all right, you're done. And God gave him a wife, and he moved on with his life at 30 years old, and he became second command in Egypt.
God's timing isn't rushed.
Right, exactly. And he forgave his family, and he got to see his father. And so it was a great story. It's one of the greatest stories you'll ever read. It's something that's a story I've always, not because we have the same name, but that's a story I always cling on to.
Right.
Because that's kind of my story is somewhat similar in some ways, like where I around the same age, a couple years younger, I went off to a different path where I feel like I was kind of in prison for a while, and now I'm kind of getting back out of that, but and I'm free from that. But it's kind of similar in a way. So I think that's a great story, and like you just said, Hubble, God's timing's always different. But I think a lot of people though, they try to be their own God in their life now because they feel like they need to achieve these things. They feel like, I don't know where this mindset comes for people where they feel like there's pressure. I don't think I can pinpoint it's the social media, Humble, where it's like Oh my gosh, I got to get these. I'm 25, 26 years old. I got to get all these things done now. I need like now. It's like, why? Who are you doing it for? Is it what God wants you to do? Like, you don't hear that brought up a lot anymore.
And I always tell my friend, and this is just the way I say it. Not everyone gets that Cinderella story, and not as far as like the love, but like the more is like the freaking. You don't get everything as far like you don't get the cherry on top. It's not always going to be beautiful, but you can make the best of what you have, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I look at it from that perspective, and like what you were saying the whole time. What I wanted to point out is what you were doing the whole time is just, without you even knowing it, because you were replacing. That's what my therapist always told me: replace the negatives with a positive.
Mm-hmm.
Replace your negative patterns with a positive mindset or a positive habit. Whether it's, hey, I'm not brushing my teeth every night. Well, hell, I'm gonna do it every night, and then on top of it, I'm gonna floss, and I'm gonna also do a mouthwash in the morning and at night, and that's replacing a negative with a positive. You want to make sure you do that extra step to make sure you remember that, hey, this is good for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the timing is different for everybody.
Right,
And that's what you said. Stay focused on what you have and be grateful for what you have, and what you got is what you got. But you still have something that somebody else doesn't have, and vice versa. Like God made us all unique in His own image. And here, it's like even in basketball, right? Michael Jordan won his first championship to what, his seventh, eighth season of his career.
right,
LeBron did win to what, his ninth season of his career,
right.
right? But some guys came in and won their second, third year of their career. Does that mean they're better players than those two? No.
Like a Magic Johnson, right? Yeah,
Yeah, they're not. And Magic's great, but do I think Magic's better than Jordan? No. Jordan out
no,
he took it to a whole nother level, but he didn't. So it's like it doesn't really matter when you get it. It's not about when. It's what you do when you get there,
right,
right? And you have to be prepared for when you get to that moment. I think a lot of people now they try to buy what they think they need in life, and they'll do whatever it takes to force it to happen, but they're not really prepared for it. They'll settle, right? And they'll settle for less, and then when they get it, they're like, A, they either can't handle it, or B, it's like, this is it.
it's not what they wanted.
It's not what I like.
Right,
This is it. This is what I had to look for. This boredom. Like this.
right.
This isn't what I thought it would be.
That
Because
you know
you
what Jim
go
I
ahead.
didn't mean to cut you off. Jim
No,
Carrey
no, you're
always
good.
says. Jim Carrey always he says, "I wish everyone could get famous and rich, just so you guys realize this is not what you wanted."
Yeah,
Somewhere he said that somewhere. It's just it resonated with me. It was like I was like, maybe it's not really what I want. What do I want? It just sounded so good when I heard it.
yeah. And that's something I've always held on to too. That it also just when I was a kid, man, a lot of what I'm doing now, humble.
Mhm.
I may not be where I want to be at certain areas, but a lot of what I'm doing now is what I dreamed of what I wanted to be 5, 6 years ago.
Right.
When I was 5, 6 years ago, when I was on that bike, guess what I was doing? I was listening to Jason Whitlock's show, Speak for Yourself. I was listening to other podcasts or guys. No, podcasts weren't really like they are now, but I was listening to other people I looked up to in the media, and I was learning. That was really my college. You know what I mean? I was listening to Anxiety Guy, all the education I got about anxiety, I learned from him. So really, those were my college years. It just wasn't technically college. You know what I mean? But
Hey,
I
you know
was
what they
that.
call it? You know what my buddy calls it, Joe? YouTube University.
There you go.
You
YouTube
know?
University. I was the first attendee, probably. Uh, back in back in 2017, 2016 rather, really. Maybe even sooner, somewhere around there. As soon as I got, and you're right, because guess you know what happened as soon as I got isolated in the house. The first thing I started doing yard work
This
around the
podcast.
neighborhood.
Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't know how to do a lot of it. My grandfather was a landscaper, but I was 15, 16 years old. I didn't know a lot of it, so I had to teach myself a lot. You know what I learned? Got on YouTube
Yep.
University. That was
YouTube
my first.
University.
That was my first degree I got, landscaping. Um,
No, really, seriously.
it
Right.
is,
No, I heard that.
and then I took off to the anxiety. And
Mhm.
I went through. I had a therapist at the time and she was great, but I didn't feel like I wasn't growing the way I needed to.
What was
And a
her
lot of
name?
it because I didn't know I didn't know anybody at that time up until 2018 when I first found the anxiety guy. I didn't
Mm.
know anybody that went through what I went through. So for me, it was kind of like I felt lost. Like I felt like I was on an island. And then when I would try to explain things to my support group, my parents, stuff, they can never fully understand because I didn't even know how to verbalize it. I'm 18 years old, 17, 18 years old. I didn't know shit. You know what I mean? So it's like, once I found him, the first video I heard him talk, I damn near fell off my bike, listened to it, because I was like, I finally found somebody that understands and went through what I did. And the reason why I found him was because I said I got to a low point in 18, after being in my house, barely can leave my house for almost a year. I'm like, I gotta change something. I can't go anywhere. Like, I feel like I was at my last resort, and I said, you know what? If I found all this information on YouTube about landscape, because at that time I had a nice little business, and even it was around it was only my block. I had my own little landscape company. I made some good money though too. I was installing lawns. I was doing weekly cuts and everything. You name it,
Yeah.
mulching jobs. I did everything. I was doing pretty good. I did pressure washing. Um, and so, I said, if I could find out all this on YouTube, I could probably, there's got to be somebody out there. And I just Googled anxiety support on YouTube, and that's the first guy that came up. And it was like an angel sent, and it just took off from there, and that slowly got me to where I am today. And it's like one step led to the next step, to the next step, to the next step, to the next step. And it's not something I could have predicted or written or anybody around me.
Yeah.
Only God could do that. Did that. So then I got my bachelor's degree in anxiety and support, and then and then I got my master's degree in sports shortly after that. So it's like, but it's, I know we're joking a little bit, but it's true though.
Nah,
It's true, man. Like, everything that I did was not by everything that came to my life at us each time was not by an accident. It was all, looking back, it was all God taking me to the next phase, to the next phase, to the next phase, to the next phase, ultimately to where I came up here one day in 2022, and it was like, that's it. This is what I'm going to be doing. This is what, this is one part of this is the next big thing in my life. Is I found it. I could create my own platform and talk about things I like to talk about, and sit up here with you today and do this, And so now, and that's even now, a lot of that stuff is leading to things in more real life, off the screen, like getting back involved in schools and helping kids out and coaching and things I love. So it's like everything's starting to slowly unfold. But the biggest thing it takes, though, Humble, is patience.
Right.
If you don't have patience, let me tell you,
The
something,
hardest
it's a hard road for you, Jack. You better learn some patience, because anything in life worthwhile takes time.
It gets easier, but you got to do it every day. That's the hard part.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. One step, one day at a time. That's not been my mindset. One step, one day at a time. Like, if people ask me all the time, what are you doing to? I don't know. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I don't really care to know. Like, if somebody came up to me and said, hey man, I know you guys play at wherever next year. Let's go out to dinner. Guess what? I'm not even thinking about that game right now. I'm not thinking about August. I'm not thinking about it. I'm only only thing I'm focused on is going to this game tonight and getting the box of popcorn and watching basketball. That's about it.
Yeah.
We get this workout in after I talk to you, after we wrap this up, and I'll think about it then. I'm not even thinking about next week. I don't want to know. I don't care. Like, I don't know nothing. Like, that's like Joey Diaz says. I don't know nothing. And he's right though. Stay in the moment. Why are we looking ahead? Why are we? All you can control is what you can control right now. Get up each day, say your prayer, and focus on what you got to do that day. And that's about it. That's been my thing. That's been my mindset every day, and I try to implement that more. But I don't know. You got any more on this? What do you got, Humble? You got any more?
No, man. I think we said it all. We'll have more to say always, but this was definitely a good appearance for me, man.
Oh yeah, a heck of a appearance. This is just a warm up, folks. I mean, Humble and I have conversations on the phone like this all the time.
Oh yeah, this is nothing for us.
We're going to bring our conversations now to the public. We talk about this stuff all the time because I think it's needed. I feel it's on my heart. Obviously, you guys, people have watched it from day one, and I've, Humble and I've talked about it. I explained to him because you found my channel 2-3 years ago through Tune.
Yeah.
But I was already doing stuff before that. And I wasn't as deep into sports as I was now, but I was doing a lot of anxiety support and all that, and sharing my story. And the video I'm still most known for is my first one, where I came out and shared my testimony. And it's crazy, man. You never know who you're going to impact. And I've met some pretty cool people in real life who have told me that video, they go back and watch it all the time when they get down. And it's kind of crazy because I did the same thing with the Anxiety Guys videos. So it's kind of, see how it's like you're passing it on from one person to the next person, how God works. But, it's crazy, but he works mysterious ways. But I want to get back more into that, just in a different way. I don't want to
Yeah,
be as technical as I was before. I think at that time that was what was needed. But I feel now that's why I've taken a break for you guys from talking a lot about my own personal life and stuff. I know it's what a lot of you guys subscribe for in the earlier years, but and a lot of you guys are still sports fans too. But we're still gonna keep doing
okay.
that, no doubt about it. But I want to get back to that just in a different way, more to this. This is kind of the setup I've always wanted to do it, and this type of setup with somebody like with me and Humble, and somebody like Humble, we could just sit and go back and forth, talk real life, and joke around, and have fun, because it's reality. That's why it's called the
Yeah,
real. What I mean? It's like
the real.
we want you guys to know, like, hey man, you're not alone. Like, we're all in this together. Like, you guys come up here and join us too if you want sometime. Let me know. But
Exactly.
good
I
stuff.
actually had something to follow that before you cut off, Joe.
Oh, you're good, man. Go
Real
ahead.
quick, it's like how you said the real, and there's always someone out there. I had a buddy when I lived in Idaho, Idaho, small town. I was boarding school, 10th grade to 12th grade years. Um, I had a staff member named Jason, and Jason was always there for me. He played for the Falcons. It was just like nothing real serious. It was just like got those little 10-day contracts or whatever. It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
nothing
yeah.
real. It was just a
Still
lineman,
hard though to
big
make it
dude.
that far.
Oh yeah,
Shout out to
yeah, yeah,
Jason, man. That is hard.
yeah. This was back in the day. I don't know, like 2004 or 5, back in his prime. But long
Hmm.
story short, this guy, he always told me this. Because I used to love music about around that time, and I used to want to be a producer back then as far as making music, and I kind of fell off as far as doing all that type of thing. But he says this, which really resonated with me. What you were saying is, he said, Tristan, that's my real name, but he was like, Humble. Um, there's there's because I used to tell him I used to deal with real bad depression, and like I used to feel like, yeah, I used to honestly feel suicidal, to be honest with you. But
Hmm.
like I used that's why I made music. It was an outlet to feel like I used to write words on a piece of paper and put a beat and everything on it, and that was my way. And I put it out there. It only got about maybe like 15 views. And whatever, it is what it is. But he always told me, I used to get mad at myself. I used to tell him, like, Jason, why can't I get these views? Like, he was like, who cares if 100 people don't view it? At least one person's viewing it and you get one like. You know what that means in my perspective? He said that someone can relate to your story, and that means more than anything, because you're actually being authentic to yourself. And when I thought about it like that, I'm like, damn, you're right. There is going to
Hmm.
be someone, just one person. If one freaking person relates to your story, I think you're doing it right in some respects.
No doubt about it. And I've experienced that in my own life with this. Like, I had a moment. I was somewhere back. I was at a wedding back in August, and somebody who watches the show knows my story. And she actually, while I watched, referred to the anxiety guy, and he's helped her out a ton, like he did me. This went through kind of something similar I went through, maybe a little more severe, right? A little older. That came up to me at the wedding and said, "You're my idol." That's what. And I be honest, I do not say that about me. It's not about me. It's all glory to Jesus Christ, honestly. But
Yeah,
to have somebody say that to you, I mean, you want to run through a brick wall more. Like, you're like, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, I don't care if I get three. Like, that guy said, I don't care if you get 2, 3 views. What if you're helping one person like that? It's all worth it, honestly. You know what I mean? It really is. I mean, it really
you
is.
hear that? That makes
You
you want to
know,
sit down in a chair and drop some tears.
yeah, it was
You know what
kind
I
of. I'll
mean?
be honest with you. At first, it was really weird. Like, I was kind of like, I'm not used to that, but
Yeah,
then I
yeah.
thought about it. I'm like, that's pretty damn cool. Like,
Hell yeah, it is.
I thank God for it. I mean, I really do. I'm like, I'm honored that some person felt like that. I mean, it's awesome. But and like you said, authenticity. That's hard to find nowadays. But the people that really are, keep being that. Don't ever fold. Don't ever change who you are. That's something I was
Don't take
always
it for
told to
granted
me.
either.
Yeah, that. Don't take it for granted, because you never. What you have now, somebody out there has it worse than you.
They'll
And if
take their
you,
kindness for weakness too.
yeah,
And that's something that breaks my heart.
and if your boy Joseph and Humble can get through it, you can accomplish anything. Seriously,
Heck yeah.
like, You know what I mean? And so, and I know people that are way worse than like that lady I mentioned. You know, she can make it through. When she made it through, I could do anything. You know, she actually inspires me. So,
Right.
you know, yeah, and stay focused on where you are. Don't fold. Don't give in and to the pressure, and just be true to you. You know, and don't compare yourself to others because it's the thief of joy, like it says. It really
Joy.
is.
Shout out Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, shout out Teddy Roosevelt. But and shout out to your boy too back in Idaho. I forgot his
Yeah.
is it Jason, you
Jason.
said?
Yeah.
Shout out
Yeah.
to Jason. I mean, look at that even. Somebody years later. I mean, or somebody that inspired you years later, you bring it up on a show. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean,
Seriously.
I say this all the time, Humble. Real influence, like real inspiration and influence is more powerful than any amount of money. Ever.
Yeah.
It really is. Influence, real influence, not this fake influencer crap you see nowadays. No offense to anybody, but I'm sorry, I ain't read. That's what I'm talking about. Real influence, like where you really inspire somebody, help change somebody, like whether being yourself and putting, like Paul said, putting your uh putting your weaknesses on display, right? That's
Yeah.
more powerful than any amount of money ever. Anything, it really is. More, it's nothing. I don't care if you can dunk a basketball, make millions of dollars, whatever. There's nothing more powerful than that.
And this is just a name to throw out there because it's true. Like a Dennis Rodman, that man went
Mm-hmm.
through everything you could think of as far as um shoot. I'm
I would even say Kwame Brown, even too, a guy who I've gotten. I know Kwame makes people laugh, but he was the guy for 20 years. They said all I knew about him was a bust, bust, bust. Right? They said he was a
yeah.
bust.
Stephen A. Smith, that bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they changed
Yeah.
all these narratives on him. But guess what? He
Narratives.
has.
That's the word. I took the word out of my mouth, Joe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then he
Hmm.
came out one day and finally said enough. And you know what? That video that he put out when he came out and called them dudes out, that inspired me to do my first video. I can tell you that. Some kid, he inspired a kid in Ohio. You know, but guess who has a pretty peaceful life now compared to the guys who maybe had a better NBA career? They don't have a better quality of life than he does. It's like he said
Exactly.
that. It's like he said that video. Let's check my real life resume. You know, that guy, his real life resume, pretty damn successful.
Yeah.
You know, more than most people I've seen at that space. And he has a pretty peaceful life. Still has a good amount of money. He's a free bird. He laughs. He inspires people. He helps people. Like, what's wrong about how's that guy bust? He's not. Furthest thing
No.
from it. You know, his
Yeah.
career didn't pan out because of politics. Let's be honest. If you know go read the real story what happened. But he also was a guy that he doesn't bow down either. So we'll just leave it at that. But you know, he has a pretty good life. He ain't bugging at all.
Exactly.
So man,
And
being
he's
a
not going to
bust
be
must be
defined
that
by the
bad then.
media. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Gee, I'll
Right.
be a bust.
Right. Sign me up. Where do I?
Where do I sign up? That's my next bachelor's degree. But
Oh
Humble, love
man.
you, brother.
I love you too,
Appreciate you
man.
doing this, man. Make sure you guys
Anytime.
like, subscribe, and share. Go follow my man Humble. If you guys want to join the Cavs group chat, you want to tell me they can find that at Humble.
Yeah, you guys can find me at on Instagram. It should be humble man, and then you're gonna have it's actually a weird spelling. I'll text Joe how to spell it for next time, but it's like FOE and then the word 20. So it's kind of like a weird
Humble man
name.
Fo 20.
Yeah, faux 20. Hey,
Oh, real.
yeah, faux real. You're trying to remember it like that, kind of, if that helps the brain. But I'll try to like rebrand my name on Instagram and
just put
but
it.
no,
When we turn this, when I hit end here, just put it in the comments, and it'll be down in the comments.
100%,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
And
you guys want to join the group chat? I'll put you in.
we do Cavs content in there. We talk about Browns. It's all we keep it respectful in there. Just make it real respectful. But we're trying to branch out and do a YouTube, and we're gonna get there. And Joe's been helping me, and we're talking, and yeah, it's gonna be a slow start, but we'll get there eventually. And I like where we're at right now, and you guys are great for tuning in and like and subscribe always to my guy Joe, and yeah. Go Cavs.
Absolutely. Go Cavs. Get the dub tonight. And we will see you guys in the next one. I'm out of here. I'm saluting out of here.
Peace.
Peace. Gone.